Everybody, and welcome back to another great edition of my Grue Rume Show. And for the Grue Rume Show today, we got a very cool guest, and he's an actor, and his name is Eric Lutz. I am Rocco Cross. I am the host at Stutters. I am the host of the Grue Room, and my interview with Eric will be coming up very soon. This is my Grue Room, and as always, welcome to my nightmare. Stay tuned. Okay, welcome to Grue, and thank you so much for taking time out of your night and coming on the show.
Yeah, you got it. Good to meet you.
Yeah, it's really good meeting you. Thank you, man. So, like, the first thing I want to start out asking is probably a typical question that gets asked all the time is what drew you to want to act? What made you fall in love with acting?
Oh man, I mean, to be honest, it started from just being a kid and playing make believe. I'll be honest, it was like I had a best friend who lived down the street from me, and we would play, I don't know, army man or soldiers. So we would just be in the backyard and acting like we're throwing a grenade or I'll cover you. Just being kids. And
Yeah,
it was one of those things. Then as you got older, you started watching more movies and TV, and you're like, that's like what we were doing. Like, how cool would it be? And then obviously as it progressed, opportunities presented themselves, and it was always a pipe dream to me. It was always something that
yeah,
was not really, it was like, oh, that's a fantasy. Like, yeah, it would be great to live on the moon, but that's not real. And then as I got older, opportunities came up, and it was a real opportunity. And then I had people who had been in the field, and they were like, no, 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 you can do this. So, guidance really helps. Guidance, and then I don't know if it's necessarily gatekeepers, but people that have been there before, they're like, no,
mhm,
you can and you should. It
exactly.
was, it was the helping hand. It was that nudge helped. So yeah.
Oh wow. Hey, there's people that walked on the moon, and now with all this stuff going on, that they want people to live on Mars. So anything's possible, right?
I mean, really, no, it really is. Yeah, yeah. That was a huge part of it. Was my entire life I was like, yeah, that's not possible, because I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Kansas, and so I wasn't born in Los Angeles. I wasn't
Yeah.
born in Southern California. So it's not, in my mind, that's not possible. I wasn't born in the right place. And then things change, and you realize, like, oh no, that is very possible. So
Oh yeah. Hey,
yeah.
well, at least you're born in the same place as Clark Kent, right?
There you go. Superman, baby. Not born but raised, yes. He
Well,
was
yeah,
raised
yeah.
there. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I was born right there.
Okay. And I see you also did plays, theater, and all that. So is there any play that you love doing on stage the most?
Um, you know what? I wish I had got into it earlier, because there are a ton of really good stage productions that
Mhm.
uh I really haven't dove into that world, and I know a lot people will invite me to plays, and I've gone to a couple, like, oh, this is great. But I wasn't brought up on plays or
Yeah.
stage really, other than when I started performing it, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. I'd never heard of it before, but doing it was like, oh wow, Streetcar Named Desire. And so it's like really
Uh-huh.
strong, powerful, messages. And the first show I ever did was The Music Man.
Oh
And
yeah, I heard of that.
and
Yeah.
as a musical, I couldn't tell you if a note is flat or sharp, but it just so happened that, they saw something in me, and they're like, all right, you're gonna do this. So it was fun. I mean, yeah, as far as stage goes, I think the two that I really dealt with the most were, I think, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. I really liked that because it was deep.
Okay.
It had a bunch of levels to it, so I enjoyed it.
Wow. For
Yeah,
someone who don't know the theater game, I have no idea what sharp and flat is. So I'm definitely on the same boat.
yeah, yeah. That's as far as singing goes. Like if I hear someone sing, I'm like, oh, that sounds good. But other people are like, no, that's flat. That note is flat. I'm like, I couldn't tell you what that means. So that's only in musical theater though, and I only, like I said, I only did one of those shows, and I did not know what I was getting myself into. But The people in that were amazingly talented,
Yeah.
and I'm just some guy with kind of a deep voice, and they're like, "You can be a bass, that's fine." So it worked.
Yeah, see, you you found a spot on the stage, so that's good.
Right, right. Do you have any favorite like theater productions or anything like that, or were you kind of in the same boat as me, as not really knowing?
Basically the same boat as you. Like the only ones I know is like the ones everyone knows, like a Christmas Carol and the what's
Right,
that? Wicked, the one with the
right.
Wizard of Oz, and
Wizard of Oz, yeah,
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 yeah, yeah, and what was the other one? Jesus Christ Superstar.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
like you
like
said, just
those
the
are the
big,
ones that I know. Yeah, like the ones that everyone knows.
right. That's good.
And what was outside of doing theater? Like what was the first role you ever had for either film or television?
Um, when I first moved to LA, you tell everyone I'm an actor, and people sometimes see potential in you. I did a couple things called sizzle reels,
Oh,
which,
okay.
let's say me and you are creators of a show, and
Hmm.
we have an idea for a TV show, and we want to pitch that idea. You know how TV shows have pilot episodes?
Yeah, yeah, of
Okay.
course.
So sometimes a sizzle reel isn't necessarily a full pilot episode, but it gives you like little doses of what the show may be like.
Oh,
And so you kind of watch it, and it's a used for a pitch, and you say like, see, this is kind of the camera, like the camera work we're looking to use. This is kind of the interactions with people. And so I did a couple of those things, and it wasn't necessarily the style of work I wanted to be in.
yeah,
A couple were like kind of like the dating type show, and I knew that I was never going to do a dating show, but it was one of those things where I was like, well, I'm gonna get to meet these people. It's never gonna be it. you know they kind of pitched it to me as they go, yeah, we're gonna film the sizzle reel, and then if the people like it, we could put you on the show. And I was like, not gonna happen, but it was good to get in there and get my feet wet and learn. My first actual like big role was
yeah.
Glow on Netflix.
Really, that was your
Yeah.
first role.
Well, I guess this is really fun. The week before I picked up Glow, I did Modern Family,
Oh, I love that
and
show. Yeah.
yeah, and so bringing it back to when I started learning theater, or taking my theater courses in college, my first theater coach, she taught Eric Stone Street. We both went to the same college,
Oh,
and she
wow.
was the one that I took just acting 101. And she was like, you got something special. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. And she's like, no, 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 like, you're doing this. And that was when I think Modern Family is probably into its fifth season. So they'd already been winning
Okay.
awards. Everyone knew it was a great show. And she's like,
Yeah.
when I see stuff, I know it. And it was cool because it was the last season. And I got to work with him on the last season of it. And I was doing more background work with that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Once again, it's just like kind of whatever. I wanted to do it, and he was nice, so he kind of pulled me up to the like featured background. And but I was on stage, and I was like, man, I can't wait to be one of the main people up there. And the
Mhm.
next week, I had my own trailer. I was on the set of Glow. I remember they called me out from the trailer. I walked around this building to where I was supposed to be, and there were 50 extras. And they were looking at me the same way I was looking at the other leads. They're like, man, I can't wait to be there. And I was like, how cool is that? So Glow was the first really big thing. I did
Yeah.
random music videos here and there, but that
Oh,
was the
yeah.
first, SAG job that, yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Wow, that's really cool. I mean,
Yeah.
how you're saying that, like one week you're on Modern Family and not on like the main screen, but then
Right.
you land Glow and
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
that is a good story.
Yeah. I mean, that's the industry out here. At any point, I could get oh, well, I told you I have auditions coming up because we're always
Yeah,
auditioning. But
yeah,
at any
definitely.
moment, what was that?
I said, yeah, definitely. You always have to audition, get your name out there.
Yeah, I mean, at any moment, from a job that I auditioned for, I could get a call to be like, "Hey, we booked it. We're good for however long. We're filming tomorrow, or we're filming in a week or a month or whatever it may be." So,
Wow.
yeah,
So Glow is actually one of the shows I wanted to talk about because
yeah,
I'm a huge wrestling fan,
I love
and
that. Yeah, I've
yeah,
listened to a couple of your interviews, and yeah, I picked it up that you're a big wrestling fan.
I'm a huge that's why like whenever I get wrestlers that I grew up watching as a kid, like
Yeah,
Jake Jake the Snake Roberts,
yeah,
Mickey James, like Diamond Dallas Page, and like when I got those people on, I was like freaking out. I was like, all right, you got to calm down. You got to
yeah.
calm down.
That's funny. Yeah, it was fun for me too, because I mean, I grew up. I was watching wrestling when I was younger and like around like the '98 era. So like
Yeah.
the kind of the Attitude Era, and NWO and things like that,
Yes.
and Hollywood Hogan and stuff like that. So I watched we had all the video games. We watched and it was so yeah, we were into that. I actually have a buddy, Jet Jameson is his name.
Okay.
He is a very talented up and coming wrestler.
Really?
And yeah, and he was super talented, fan favorite, and he invited me to go train. And I was like, yeah, let's go. And I trained with Rikishi in his gym at Knox X
No.
Pro.
Get out.
It was so cool just to be like this man is a legend, and everyone in there
Yeah.
was so talented and they were so skilled, and it was a blast to actually run the ropes and do all this stuff and learn how to fall, take a bump is what they
Well,
call it,
yeah,
things like
exactly.
it was pretty awesome to and then like I said, like, man, you made my childhood great, thank you. So yeah, I did try and convince the when we were on set of Glow, I had a very specific scene, or I was a recurring co-star, so I was on 3 episodes, but I had a very specific thing I did, and there was reading the script like from previous or watching a show from previous things. I saw a way. I go, oh, maybe I could get in there, because I was like, I want to cross body someone off the top turnbuckle. Like, I want to be in the ring. I was like, I grew up, I was an athlete, I played college sports. I was like, that's please. And they're like, I don't know. And then fourth season didn't go. I doubt
Yeah.
they were gonna do it, but there was no chance. So I was pushing for it. I was like, I can do this, but they're like, no, doesn't make sense. So
You know, all you had to do was tell him, say, look, I was trained by Rikishi, so if you put me in there, I know what I'm doing.
well, see, that didn't happen yet. That
Oh,
happened.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, it happened it was a couple months ago that I actually did that, because
Oh,
I kept
nice.
yeah, I kept getting auditions for well, like Young Rock and things like
Oh,
that.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
would audition for like some big name people. And I thought about it, like I said, good friend of mine, I went and watched him perform. I was like, you're insane. He's like the high flyer. He's almost like the Rey Mysterio type, where he's doing big, high flying things.
Nice.
And so I thought about it. I go, you know what? I'm auditioning for these things. If I book one and they don't want me to just stand around, if I understand how to move around the ring and how to work together, because
Yeah.
you have to know what you're doing.
Oh,
It's like,
definitely. Yeah.
you can't be like, oh, hey, I'm gonna salsa dance, and you don't know the steps the other person does. You're gonna hurt each other. You're gonna step on each other's feet. And it's like with
Yeah,
wrestling, it's
exactly.
very much you have to know that I'm doing this. And
Mhm,
so I did. I
mhm.
went in and trained a bit and was like, I like this. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, that's why it's so easy for wrestlers like Rock and John Cena and Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold. Like it's so easy for them to go from wrestling to acting because you're basically doing both when you're wrestling because
Right.
you
Right.
have to, you're following a script for your match and a promo that you do. That's another thing you have to study. And then when you're in
Yeah.
the ring, you have to trust the other person. So
Oh,
that's
it's a
why it's
huge.
so easy for them to get involved in the world of acting.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, it's a huge trust issue, and you guys are telling a story together. I mean, there's the good guy, there's a heel, the bad
Mhm.
guy that comes in, and everyone's boo, and and they were explaining that. They go, hey man, sometimes you show up to an event and you're the heel. You're used to being
Yes.
the good guy that everybody loves. And they go, sometimes you're telling a story. You got to be the bad guy, and you got to be okay with that. And you got to be, like, give them, boo, back to you. This town sucks or what, it's like, so it's all storytelling, it's all working together. And you guys are telling a back and forth, oh,
Mhm.
he's winning. Oh, now she's winning. Oh, back and forth, but, and then whatever it may be. So.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like, cause I remember watching it. The most shocking heel turn was Hulk Hogan going to Hollywood Hogan. Like
Oh
Hulk
yeah,
Hogan,
exactly.
the red
Exactly.
and yellow for all those years,
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
your prayers and eating your vitamins, and then
Yeah,
he goes
exactly.
and he tells the fans to stick it.
Yeah, that was the attitude era, exactly, where it's yeah, and you're exactly right. I remember growing up on the cartoons where it was like, make sure to do your exercises, eat your vitamins. Like and then he's like dyeing his beard and everything and doesn't care and wearing glasses. Yeah, that's funny. That is
Yeah.
really funny.
Yeah, the end of the summer, like I'm like one of my like dream interviews is going to be happening like I think in August or something. I have to
Can you
look at
talk
it
about it
again.
yet or no?
Well, yeah, like I was told I could interview Hulk Hogan because he's going to be voicing a animation film that's coming out, and
Nice.
they said that I could actually interview Hogan about the film, and then of course talk to him about wrestling. So I'm like freaking out. Like the end of the summer, like I'll like towards the end of the summer, I'll be interviewing like someone I grew up I idolizing,
Oh
and it was
yeah.
like, oh my God.
No, it's gonna be great. That's gonna be great. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he brought, he was one of the guys that when wrestling started getting big, he was the stories where he's like, I was homeless, living out of truck stops,
Yeah,
taking showers at truck stops and making $100 a match or whatever. It's like that's that's entertainment, baby. It's
it
like you
is.
you you pay your dues for a long time. You got to
Oh,
learn you know, how to struggle your way up. I mean, it's something. Yeah, you really got to love it because it's not all the glitz and glamour all the time.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
You know.
When you were doing Glow, like did you go back and watch any like the old 80s, like the gorgeous ladies of wrestling, like the wrestling
Yeah.
show that was
Yeah.
on?
So they actually have they had on, I believe it was on Netflix. They actually had the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling like documentary.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
did watch that, and like the one lady that would like eat raw steak and like it was such a cool thing where it was huge for like what 4 to 6 years. It was a really big
Yeah.
thing, and so I watched that, and then of course I watched all the episodes up to it. I binge watched it all, and
Nice.
yeah, I mean I think after season one, episode one, there was a scene when they kind of they showed it, they had the vintage kind of recording where it
Mhm.
looked like it was an 80s style and they were like fighting, and I
Mhm.
was like, oh, this is so cool. And then there was an episode later that I saw and I was like, oh, let's go, this is awesome, I'm ready. So yeah, I was very happy to book that one. That
Oh
was a fun
yeah.
one, and everyone on set was so sweet, so nice, so supportive. And I mean, it was a big cast. There was like
I know.
eight of the initial leads. The two main leads, and then supporting, and there was a ton of people. So it was great, though. I mean, the writers were great. Everyone was great. Yeah,
Oh wow, that's so
yeah,
awesome. Because
yeah.
I mean I know I'm dating myself here, but I was a little kid watching the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling when it was actually like live on television, and I would watch that, and when WWE was WWF, and
Right, right. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I never had heard about that until went back and watched the documentary. And I was like, what a cool idea to, have instead of being a pretty lady or whatever, it's like, I mean, she was, like I said, the lady that was eating, would like chew the raw steak. She's like, I wanted to scare people. I'm like, that's awesome. And they were really, changing it. They were like, well, let's not make everything the way it is. Let's change it up. And I like that. I like pioneers.
oh yeah, definitely.
You know.
Uh, Was there any scene you had the most fun filming for Glow?
For Glow, um, have you seen my episodes in that yet?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so um there were a couple scenes that were fun. I think the most fun for me was the initial one where like I said, when I walked out of my trailer and there were 50 people around, and I was like, this is great. I got to drive I think it was a 1970s Porsche or
Okay, yeah.
Porsche. Yeah, Porsche, and it was manual transmission. So I mean, it was older, and manual transmission cars, they're always a little different, as far as like how far the clutch can go in. And I was supposed to drive it in, stop it. One of the other actors got in, drove it away. And there were times when it would die and it would this and that, and like we got to make it happen. Time is let's go, let's go. And so that was fun just to be around everybody and have the initial reactions. That was definitely the most fun. And then if you recall, season 3, episode 4 was when we had our intimate scene. And that
Oh
was,
yeah.
I wouldn't say that was fun, obviously, because it was work, but it was very much an experience. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it was very much an experience. Like we had a skeleton crew, is what they call it. So instead
Mhm.
of having all kinds of people on set, they're like, we're going to break it down to the bare bones people that we need. We have the director, we have this, that's it. And it was, I mean, it was great. It was safe. It was easy. We worked well together. We were a good team. But yeah, that was the most like growth, because it was
Okay.
like, oh, this is something different.
Well,
And
yeah,
then
it's probably something you haven't done yet.
definitely something I had not done. But it was Betty Gilpin was such a treasure. I mean, she's so talented, and she's been doing this since her parents are both actors, if I recall. And she'd
Ah,
been she'd been acting for years and years. So to have her be my teammate in that, it was so simple. She's like, yeah, we got this, we're fine. She was a great person. But Allison Brie too. The initial scene that we filmed when I kind of drove up in the car and they saw
mhm.
me, and we were exchanging stuff, and I kind of got annoyed and drove off. Betty Gilpin was always staying in character, which was great. Was
Oh
great.
my God, I love
She was
it.
always staying in character, but Allison Brie was the sweetest human. I mean, she was like, cut, she's like, oh my gosh, that's hilarious. You're doing great. I love it. And then, Betty would just remain in character. And, actors have their own ways about them, which there's nothing wrong with that. But it was just,
Oh yeah.
it was such a warm welcome, to the group, because everyone was very much like it's a team.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
how it is. Like once you get cast, you are a team. You're trying to make the best thing possible as a team, and so it was cool to have them be like, "Yeah, you're doing great. You're doing great." So
I know it's funny when someone stays in like I saw an interview. Bill Skarsgård I think it was like Jimmy Fallon or something like that, and
yeah,
he said he felt bad. He said when he was filming it, when he put
yeah,
on Pennywise, and he stood in Pennywise character the whole entire shoot,
yeah,
and
yeah.
the kids were scared to death to go near him.
Even behind the scene, yeah, I could see
Yes.
that. I could see that. I mean,
And-
sometimes that works. I feel like there's certain times when it doesn't make sense for you to be like a fun, goofy guy and then be like, you ready to, sometimes it's just like, hey, that go, if it works, it works. And I feel like with that role, it worked. I'm glad he
oh
did.
yeah, like the kids were actually really scared of him. That wasn't acting.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Make it easy, an easy day. They don't have to dig deep for their to find it. They're already there. They're already scared.
Exactly. And what do you like best about playing Jack in a holiday film, a Christmas film?
Jack. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun because that, I'm from the Midwest and he's from kind of a smaller town, and it was obviously it's not something I went through, and there was some heavy elements to it, and there was things that I haven't experienced, but it was fun because I remember like the audition for that
Yeah.
was one of the most relaxed auditions I did, and I was just very much myself, and they were like, yeah, that's our guy. And so I knew going into this I didn't have to do such a a deep dive and and like change the way I walk. And I didn't have to do one of those things. It was very much they're like, you have the look, you have the that's what we're looking for. And so it was cool to, you know, act pretty close to who Eric Lutz really is. Obviously change things up. But I felt good. It felt wholesome, and it was a really fun one to shoot. We shot that in Knoxville, Tennessee, I believe.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's funny. Because you say you watch wrestling like during the Attitude Era and stuff, and Kane is actually the mayor of Knoxville, Tennessee now.
I did not know that. That is crazy. He's like 6'7" or something, right? He's a huge man.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Yeah, I did not know that. Like still to this day, he is.
Yeah. Because I think he's been the mayor now for like a couple years, and yeah, he's still the mayor.
Has he changed the rules? Instead of a vote, it's like a Royal Rumble to see who wins. So he's just in power until he decides to quit.
I think so.
They do a cage match.
It was funny because remember his character he was the brother of Taker, the Undertaker. Well, when Kane was doing his what do you call that, the speech when you're fighting the other candidate for the mayor, and he's doing his speech, and the Undertaker came out on the podium with him.
No way, that's hilarious. That's so funny. That's cheating. You're cheating now. No, that is funny though. I had no idea about it. I wish I would have known that, but now I do.
Yeah, it was funny. It was. And what do you like doing during your free time when you're not acting or auditioning?
Free time. I wish I had more free time. I'm very busy a lot, but I've convinced myself that going to the gym is free time. I convinced myself that it's not work, so going to the gym.
Exactly.
There's a lot of things I really want to get into more, that can help my career, but can also be fun. But I love being out in nature. I mean, being out in nature, I live in Los Angeles, so there's 11 million people in Los Angeles County. There's a lot. And, it can be very busy and nonstop, and there's always cars driving by. And so there's nothing better than getting out of town and being one with nature and watching the stars in the sky and realizing like those things have been around forever. And you're just this little blip in the sky, and your little things you're worried about are not that big, things go by pretty quick. And so, yeah, I love to be out in nature, whether it's, I'm trying to get into surfing a little bit. I've done the basics of like riding the waves in. I'm also terrified of large animals in the water, but, what are you going to do? But I love being out in nature, whether it be at the beach. There's a ton of great hikes around here. I had family in town. We went to like Sequoia National Park and all these national parks. So I love being outside. That's my main thing, is exploring. So.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love that stuff too. Like camping. Like I love that. Like just going out there in the woods and camping with the tent and fire. And, you don't have any bars on your phone, so you just shut your phone off for like a couple days. Oh my God.
It's so good for this.
It is. Like,
yeah.
Because when you're not camping, when you're constantly on your phone, it's like a force of habit now. Like especially for like your line of work too, acting and all that. Like you constantly have to keep checking your phone for emails and seeing who's calling you. And even me, like when I'm doing the interviews, I'm constantly emailing agents to get actors on the show. And so it's good to shut that down for like a couple days.
You need it. I mean, it's like anything. It's like you overdo it, you're gonna not realize how happy, how lucky you are to be in the space you are, and you kind of get burnt out, and that's not good. I mean, the amount of times that I'm like, I can't believe this, and I'll leave, and then I'll come back and be like, I was complaining, like I I can't believe this, and so it's good to reset yourself that way. So, and I love it too. I love just to get out there. Yeah, my favorite thing, I now live with my phone on do not disturb mode.
Oh, really? Get out.
Yeah, it's my favorite. Because there for a while I was letting, my phone dictate my life.
Yeah,
And
I know
I would
exactly.
be watching something, and then something happened, and then 12 minutes later I'm scrolling on. I'm like, what am I doing? Oh, back to this thing, and
Yeah.
then I'm lost. And so
Yes.
yeah. I made a decision to I'm in control of my life again, and then I will get back to people whenever. So sorry everyone whose messages I never reply to. If you saw my phone and you saw the amount of missed calls, missed messages, talk to my manager. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. But
There you go.
I mean, with social media and all that stuff, I don't look at a bunch of my social media things really. And so
Yeah.
people send me messages, then they'll see me in the real world and be like, "Are you okay? Are you mad at me?" I'm like, "No, what's up?" They're like, "You haven't responded." I'm like, "Oh, it takes hours of my time. I mean, just
Right.
shoot me a text.
Exactly.
Shoot me a text. If you
Yeah.
know my number, shoot me a text and I'll get back to you. Hopefully."
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, hopefully. Now, if I'm watching a movie, it might take a while.
It might take a while. Yeah, give me a couple hours to be a human. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
but I relearned the importance of that
oh
because
yeah, for sure.
yeah, because like cell phones, I was probably around like 2008-ish when they started getting crazy. Because like you had like a BlackBerry before that, and it was okay, but you couldn't look up. It wasn't the same as like the iPhones or
Exactly,
the
exactly.
Galaxy. And so yeah, now it's just at any moment's notice. You can go on a deep dive for 3 hours and be like, what happened? Where am I? So yeah,
I
you
know.
gotta you gotta put up you gotta like be an adult, be a parent to yourself and be like, hey, no, kids want to
Yeah,
wake up and eat
exactly.
ice cream every day. Well, that's not good for you. You have to be like, you can't be on your phone all day to yourself. And so I
I
do that.
know. I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, I'm the same way. Like I'll be watching a movie where I'll be watching Raw, WWE Raw on Monday night, and I'll miss something because I'm looking at my phone, and then I'm
Right.
like, what the hell am I doing? Why I'm watching something, and I'm looking on my phone. Like, really?
Right. Right. Yeah. It's true. I mean, I learned that from a friend because I was going over to a friend's house and he knew I was heading over there. And it was years ago. And I got there and he had to ring me in. It was an apartment complex.
Yeah.
Called him like 4 or 5 times, like, what are you doing, man? He's not answering. Finally, he goes, hey, what's up? Dude, what I've been out here for like 5 minutes. What are you doing? He's like, oh, sorry, I'm watching baseball. And I got inside and was like, you just let the phone ring 5 times? He's like, oh, I put my phone on silent. And that was the first time I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I
Yeah,
have it
yeah.
on do not disturb. And I was like, you're a crazy person. What if someone needs to get in contact with you? He's like, they don't need to get in contact that bad. I was like, and I thought about it and I was like, oh man, you're in control of your life, not your phone. I like
Yes.
that. I like that. So I adopted that from my buddy. Thanks, Steven. Appreciate
You know
that.
what? I'm gonna have to start doing that. I never put that silence, do not disturb. I'm gonna have to start doing
I
that.
live that way. I live that way. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Good way to add
I'm gonna
balance,
start that.
Yeah.
Definitely, because you need that. Because, like I said, when I have the most fun is when I'm out in the woods and you can't look at your phone because there's no
Right.
bars.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's why I gotta force myself to get out too, because I'm around here where it's like I have every piece of technology to do whatever. I can watch a YouTube video, a movie, listen to a podcast, listen to music, be on my phone at the same. There's 5 things happening at once,
I
and
know.
am I getting anything done really, or am I just filling time so no thoughts can happen? Is that what I? So yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep.
um, I always like to ask guests when I have them on because, as you can see with Chucky in the background, I'm a big horror guy too, besides
Yeah.
wrestling. So, are there any horror movies that you like to watch?
You know what? Horror movies to me, I obviously I don't think I watch them as much as you do, but they I grew up watching Chucky and it scared the life out of me. Like there's a bunch of movies that I watched growing up, and they would terrify me. But what I found was like you know how not every movie's made for every person. You know,
Well,
it's
yeah,
like
of course.
a lot of the movies I'll watch are very predictable, and I feel like a lot of them, a lot of the horror movies I watch are very predictable.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
someone walks into a room and I'm like, the killer's behind the door, and then the killer's behind the door, and I'm like, okay, I mean, there have been times when I watch movies with friends and I call things out, and they're like, I don't want to watch movies with you anymore. It's because I love movies. I watch them all the time, and a lot of times I just kind of copy and paste
well
stuff. So I'm
yeah,
like,
of course.
the killer's over here. But there have been a couple that scared the life out of me. Like when I was younger, The Ring. When The Ring came out, that was the scariest thing I've ever seen.
Yes,
I was
yes,
scared to turn on the TV because the static that turned on at the beginning, it was horrifying. I mean, I was so frightened. So there are certain movies, and I love it when they're done so well
yeah,
that they're not predictable, and it actually. I mean, when I'm sitting watching a movie, and I can be watching a movie alone, and I do this, I mean, that's when I know it's got me. I was it The Strangers or something. There was a scene when it
oh
was
my,
years
that was a
ago,
crazy movie.
but there's
That
a
was a
scene when the
crazy.
lady, I believe, the lady was in her kitchen and drank some
Mhm.
water, and someone walked up and she doesn't see him. And I mean, I was watching this movie by myself, and I turned around and I was like, when it gets my heart racing that much, and I think that things like that, if you can do a horror film well,
Yeah.
congrats. Because I do.
Oh
I feel
yeah.
like a lot of times it's very predictable.
Yeah.
The bad guy's
Most of
here.
them are.
Yeah. But what about yourself? What's one of your favorites?
Oh man, like I got a lot of them. Night of the Demons. That's like an old '80s horror movie, and I love that movie. The acting is cheesy and all that, but
Yeah.
it's a fun '80s horror film about like a group of teenagers going to this house on Halloween night, and the house is haunted by the demons, and the
Yeah.
demons get into their bodies and possess them, and it's just like a wild film. I love
That
it.
sounds fun. Sounds good.
And it was funny because like the actress from the movie, the one who plays the lead, like she's the head demon,
Uh-huh.
and I actually interviewed her for the show when she wasn't doing interviews. Like she got out of the world after she made Night of the Demons 1, 2, and 3. She got out of it and stopped acting, and now she works with animals. Like she's a psychic for animals, or
Oh wow.
and I reached out to her about doing an interview, and at first she said no, and then I was like, then I kept reaching out there. I said, "Come on, this is my favorite horror movie," and
Yeah. Yeah.
and then she was like, "All right, I'll do the interview," and then she did the interview, and she had so much fun with it, and thinking
That's
about
great.
the past, and now she actually does horror conventions.
Look, you did that. You did that. That's
Yeah,
awesome, man.
yeah.
You like re-soaked that fire in her.
I know, right? Like
Yeah.
after she had the interview, she kept messaging me. She's like, "I had so much fun with that. I forgot about that part of my life, and how
Right.
how much she said I didn't know the fan base was this big." I was like, "Yeah," I said,
Yeah.
those movies became cult classics in like the horror
Yeah.
world."
Well, kudos to you, man. That's huge because in anything we do in life, sometimes you get in your own head about things, and you're like, no one likes that. No one, I'm no good. Yada yada. People get in their head too much. So that's really cool that you reached out and you kind of reinvigorated that in her. That's
Oh
cool.
yeah,
That is cool
like
because
she.
that's helping the other people in the community as far as her going to conventions. Now, same thing is like, I'm a huge fan. This is amazing meeting you. I mean,
Mhm.
that's cool, man.
Oh yeah, and when she did a horror convention that was close to where I lived at, I went and saw her. I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
hey, I'm Rocco from Grue Monkey," and because that's my horror site name, and
Yeah.
she was like, "Oh my God, it's you!" And she like ran out behind the table and she hugged me, and like all the horror fans were there, and they're looking like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Yeah. That's cool, man. That is cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
And
Yeah, is there if you could give me one or two of your favorite movies, horror movies that I should
yeah.
watch right now, what would one be?
Ooh,
Because like I said, I'm always up for. I know I had a roommate in college who was like, "You need to watch Insidious," and I watched
that
it and
was
was like,
that was crazy.
it was all right. I was kind of laughing at some of the scenes they thought were scary, and so it
Yeah.
didn't work for me. But if since you're since you're into it, let me know because
Mhm.
I love watching. If you can send some my way, please do
Yeah,
because I'll
definitely.
check
Well,
them out. Yeah.
Night of the Demons is definitely one of them. I mean, you can't go in there like saying, "Oh, I'm watching it for the acting." Like you have to
Right.
look at it as what it is. It's like a fun, cheesy B horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in, dude. I'll check that out.
Did
That
you
seems
ever
right
see?
up my alley. Yeah.
Did you ever see the Killer Clowns from Outer Space?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I watched that. And then they have it like Universal Studios during Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah.
They have some of those where they'll bring that back. So it's cool
Oh,
to experience that, especially after watching it. Yeah.
yeah, that's another movie I could watch like over and over. The Killer Clowns. That makes me laugh. Like it's not scary. Like they shoot you with cotton candy guns.
Right. I'll be honest though, like that, I had roommates in college who really had a similar, well, a good taste. Comedy was my favorite thing forever
Yeah,
growing up. Comedy
yeah,
and like action adventure movies. And I had a couple roommates in college, and one always loved kind of like cheesy, corny, kind of horror type
yeah.
feel to it. And we would watch them too. And it was funny because, it's like it would feel so extreme, but then it would be like you said, it's like a cotton candy gun or whatever, and you're like, or tying them up in cotton candy or whatever. And so we had a ton of fun with that. And it's funny how creative, like Grindhouse and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah,
The Grindhouse
definitely.
series. My roommate would watch that over and over again. And I'd
Mhm.
walk in, like, what are you watching, man? And it's just so over the top. But to me, I love things that are over the top because I love comedy, and that's what
Oh
comedy
yeah.
is pointing out the obvious and just blowing it out of proportion. So big fan of
Well,
that. Yeah.
well, the Killer Clowns definitely was more comedy and horror.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it though how they blend it. It's fun. It's fun.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. And what about music? Like, what kind of music is on your playlist?
Oh man, if you went through my playlist, you would think it was 20 different people on a single playlist. For different themes, for different, times of the day. I mean, I will always fall back to 90s music for nostalgia. If I'm feeling down or I want to just like, oh, I can't get out of bed, I'll listen to some 90s music and just feel unstoppable. The other day I was listening to do you, so I listen to rap, rock, country. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
like
yeah.
classical, Beethoven and all, like I listen to everything and it just depends. But the other day, yesterday and the day before, um, when I was in high school, Lil Wayne was huge.
Oh yeah.
And
Okay.
if you get on Spotify or anything, it's like his albums.
Hmm.
They're great. But there was a time when he was just doing mixtapes, which aren't as albums.
Yeah.
Any song that would come out, he would just take the beat for it and rap over it. And it felt like he was doing like two songs a week or like two songs a day. Like you would just be on the radio. They'd be like, "Hey, we got another mixtape from Lil Wayne," and Wiz Khalifa did it too. And that's kind of what got them really popular because they were doing albums, but they would do mixtapes all the time. And like LaRue Bulletproof came out, and then they're like, I like that beat. They ripped the beat and then they rapped over it. And so I was listening to a lot of those the other day, and that was a lot of nostalgia too. But I'll listen to country music from time to time. I like 90s country the most. People are
Okay.
introducing me. People are like, Alan Jackson and stuff, but people are introducing me to new country and I like it. Rock. I grew up on alternative rock a lot. I grew up on classic rock because of my dad a lot. Country because of my mom. But
Okay.
yeah, I listen to a little bit of everything. And it is. If you went through my playlist, you'd be like, how many people are adding to this? Because this is not the same. But there's good music in every genre, in my opinion. So you know,
Definitely. Yes.
yeah. And what about yourself? Do you have any particular type?
I mean, I listen to all music too, but my favorite is like rock and roll metal, like like Def Leppard, Poison, Kiss, and Bon
There you
Jovi.
go. I like
But
that.
then I could listen to Ozzy Osbourne, and then listen right after Ozzy, I could listen to Paula Abdul. So I'm like,
That's how my playlists are. I mean, it really is. It's like, yeah. I think the other day I was listening to Perry Mason, by Ozzy Osbourne, a great song, and then like the next song on the playlist was like "My Heart Will Go On" or something like that, and it was like,
yeah, Celine Dion. Yeah.
all right, yeah, that's a whole bunch of random stuff. So, but there's a time and a place for it, and good
Oh, of
music's good music.
course. Of course. Yes.
Yeah.
And if you had to do a karaoke song, what would be your go-to song?
All right. Am I trying to win the crowd over or what? Because there's a couple songs, if you sing it, I'm not great at singing, but I'm also confident and I will sing. I'll sing like White Wedding. That's
Idol, yeah.
I'll do that. The vocals aren't there, so all the other talented people will be laughing, but I'm there. I'm ballsy enough to do it. But if you want to win the crowd over, it depends like kind of the age range of the crowd. But there's a couple songs that every single person is going to sing depending on age. And I've done that too, where I go, all I got to do is people hear the beat, you hear the first couple, sing the first couple songs, and then the whole room singing. You don't have to sing anymore. So
I know exactly.
it depends. Yeah, it depends. There's a couple of those just crowd pleasers that it's easy, and then everyone after that is like, oh, I love that. That's so good. And because once again, a man who doesn't know the difference between a flat and a sharp note, I can't hold a note. I got a good bassy voice. So there are some country songs that the singers have really deep bassy voices, and those are easier for me to do. Of course I want to do Motley Crue and things like that, but it gets too high and I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah, Vince Neil's voice is, I mean, now he don't sound that good, but like Vince Neil's voice is so high for the crew, for Motley Crue. Like it's hard to get on his level for his voice. Same with Axl Rose with Guns N' Roses, like his voice is so high.
Yeah. And there's like certain, I don't want to just like crowd singing, so it depends. Like The Darkness, I believe in a thing called love.
Yes.
Always love that song. But obviously there's a range when he is it's untouchable. So
I know.
But that's also a crowd pleaser for depending on the age range of the people in the room. As soon as they hear that guitar riff at the beginning, dun dun dun. No. Everyone in the house is singing it, so you don't have to be good, So there's ways to work around it. There's a couple rap songs. Forgot About Dre, Colt 45, any of the songs like that. Depending on the age range, everyone in the room is going to be singing it. All you have to do is say the first few words, and everyone's there. So
the song I like it. To me, it like I did it in front of like a older crowd and a younger crowd, and they all knew the song.
Yeah.
Don't Stop Believing, Journey. Like as soon as that comes on, like college students, older people, they're all singing it.
Everyone knows it, even if you don't. I don't like it. Even if you don't like it, you know it, and you're gonna sing it. Like that's usually how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah,
not a good one, man. A crowd, you can't go wrong with a crowd pleaser because everyone's gonna help you. And they're like, yeah. I got friends in low places. Everyone's gonna be.
Yes, that's another one. Yeah.
Everyone knows the words. It's not extremely difficult, So, and that's actually like meant for the crowd. Everyone is supposed to sing it with you. So, yeah. If I'm in a country bar, pull that out. But if it hasn't already been sang 4 times that night, Yeah.
Yeah, that's like another thing. You have to make sure the song hasn't been sung yet. Yeah.
The DJ's like, this is the 7th time we're hearing this. Let's give him a round of applause, I guess. You don't want to be that guy. So.
No, definitely not. And, is there anything coming up next for you that you're allowed to talk about that you want to plug?
Yeah. So I have 3 movies and 1 TV show coming out this year.
Nice.
Yeah. The fun thing is we never know when they come out. So that's, we'll see. But last year we shot 3 more movies and 1 TV show. So they should be coming out. And they were fun. They were a lot of fun. I have an award ceremony coming up next month. April. And it's for an indie series we've done, and I'm actually nominated for Best Leading Actor. So I'm excited about that.
Congrats on that.
Appreciate that. Yeah. It's one of those things that I'm not the writer, creator, director, any of that. I'm an actor in that. But the writer, creator, director, actor opposite me, like things like that. I mean, I auditioned for it and along with a bunch of other people, and I got picked. But the script he wrote, that when I was reading it, I was laughing out loud because it was the way that me and my college roommates would talk, like just the dumb stuff we would say, and I was laughing out loud. And it's cool because he's worked his butt off for it. And last year we had like 1 nomination, and this year we're up for 7 nominations at the Indie Series Awards. So yeah, I'm excited. It's pretty cool. I mean, we've put in a lot of work. He's put in so much work. I mean, he shows me these little things he does here and there. And when you're writing, creating, producing, directing, acting, I mean, he's wearing all of the hats. I can't believe this man has not aged himself 30 years, because it's just, I tell him all the time, I'm like, when it comes to editing videos, I'm so indecisive. Do we take, or this take? And so I like the fact that I'm like the bigger movies I do, I'm not the person who decides that. I do my job, my little piece of the puzzle, and then someone else does their piece of the puzzle, and it comes together great. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool. So we have those movies, and always working for bigger and better things. So yeah.
Definitely. And lastly, like, where could fans follow you at?
So mainly I'm on Instagram at Eric Lutz Official. So Eric, ERIC, Lutz, LUTZ Official. So Instagram is my main spot. We talked about it earlier. Sorry if I don't get back to every message. I try and keep my sanity. But that's definitely where, when things pop up, I will post things that are happening. And so anytime a new movie or a TV show comes up, there's going to be stories or posts about it. So Instagram's the main spot. I do have a website and things like that too, which is the same, ericlutzofficial.com. So it's the same tag, but that's the website. And so a lot of the things go up there as well. So yeah.
Sweet. Well, I look forward to seeing what's coming up next. And thank you so much for taking time and coming on the show.
Yeah,
it was really fun chatting.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. And once again, I love the name Rocco Cross. That's pretty awesome.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, well, it's good meeting you.
Yeah, it was really good meeting you. It was definitely fun. Thank you.
Yep.
Have a good one.
All right, take care.
Bye.